It's here. How do I open this? Hang on a minute. Oh. I'm sure that's fine. Oh. Oh. Oh, you gorgeous darling. Oh. Go away, stupid. Oh, wow. Oh. This is for a spin to win. Oh, good. Gambling. Alright, this certainly looks interesting. Ah, yes. Don't you look handsome? Freakishly handsome, one might say. It'd be really funny if I broke this in, like, the first 5 seconds. I see. I see. I get it. I've done this all wrong, actually. No, I don't get it. What am I talking about? Well, it worked. Ugh. Look at this man. Look at him. Look at his cold, dead eyes. Perfect. Why did I spend my money on this? I got a level with you, YouTube. I found a really weird movie. Content warning for all of the things on screen, by the way. The Grande is an Italian comedy made in 1987. Directed by Franco Amure, starring Renato Pizzito, and written by Franco Amure and Stephanie Sudri. No, I did not pronounce any of those names correctly. Sorry to all of my Italy heads out there. A special apology for this guy, whose name is Stefano, and definitely not Stephanie. The title roughly translates to When I Grow Up, but because I didn't make that connection when I first read it, and I can actually read a small, tiny smidgen of Italian, I read it as From Big, which I think really speaks on my ability to read Italian. Before we get into the plot, I also just want to preface that this movie has one of the most freakish posters that I have ever seen for a kid's film. This looks like a man who has just lost so much of his sanity and is so dead inside at this point that he probably thinks that's a real horse. This does not look like a poster for a movie where an 8-year-old uses magic to try to get with his teacher, and then succeeds. What? Marco Marinielli is consistently bullied, wets his bed, and is an overall loser. On top of that, he also doesn't get the Lego he wants for his birthday because his father is one of those filthy paws, and Lego is bloody expensive. So, naturally, Marco does what any 8-year-old would in his situation and turns into a guy. And naturally, hijinks ensue. He starts living with his teacher, somehow, becomes a babysitter, and commits Grand Theft Auto.
Stay calm. We know who you are.
It's not true. I'm a macho man.
Oh my god, YouTube auto-dubbing could use some work.
Why isn't he coming back? He's
Not coming back because he doesn't want to. What the hell?
Are you an idiot?
The thing connecting all of these random adventures is that during all of this, Marco is using his wily 8-year-old boy charms to try and seduce his teacher, which should go exactly how you'd expect. He tries, he fails, and doesn't get the hint because he's an actual child. Right? Because this 40-year-old man who clearly has the mental age of an 8-year-old would never be attractive to, I don't know, a fully functioning adult who may at some point learn that that 40-year-old man is actually an 8-year-old boy in a 40-year-old's body and just dismiss it out of hand. Not because she doesn't believe him, but because she simply doesn't care. Right? They would never put that plot thread in a comedy for children, correct?
Listen, Francesca, I really am an 8-year-old boy. Do you know how it happened? No, and I don't even want to know. I like you just the way you are.
That's gross. The movie ends with him deciding that it would be best to go back to being a child for the time being, and she joins him. Keep in mind that this is still an adult just in a kid's body, so through the power of childhood belief and straight up magic, she vows to commit one of Italy's most severe crimes for the next 6 years. This movie is for children. This movie would then, allegedly, become the inspiration for America's latest interesting film in 1988, otherwise known as... I'm going actually insane. I need to I need to stop. Hello, I'm Cal. The name on the title card, that's mine. And I really hope that this isn't your favorite movie, otherwise you're probably not going to like how I'm about to massacre your boy. Look at how they massacre my boy. The Notorious Big, not that one, is considered something of a classic on the internet, and in that pub your dad likes to go to. And I can understand why. It was Tom Hanks' breakout role. He plays a child that turns into an adult, which for any adults means watching a movie about learning to love the simpler times, and learning to let your inner child out on occasion. Which for any children watching means that they get to watch a movie about a guy just skipping over all the bad bits of childhood to just become a grown-up. Which, as we all know, means unlimited money, unlimited goofing around, and women. That last one's a little bit problematic for, a child, but we'll get to that, because as every child knew, that's how adulthood works. I say new because now every child has access to a phone as soon as they enter the ovaries. They are painfully aware that when they grow up, if they want to do so much as buy a pencil, that's going to be a kidney and a half, thank you and you're welcome. But after watching this movie an unfortunate number of times for this video, I can pretty accurately say that if you haven't seen Big since you were a child, kind of like I hadn't, then you're going to have some questions watching it in current year. Namely, why is that 30-year-old kissing that 13-year-old? And why does she keep doing it? No! Stop! Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. You're looking particularly radiant on this fine afternoon. So, we open on our protagonist, Joshua Baskin, playing one of them dastardly video games called Cavern of the Evil Wizard, a fake game that the writers came up with for this movie. And you can tell, because this game's control scheme makes absolutely no sense. How are you supposed to be able to tell which commands will or won't work? Good start, people. We immediately made it make no sense. Okay, so there was a weird issue where the camera's focus looked like this the entire time, so this section is going to have some weird audio glitches in it, just because it is this footage, but I'm not using the footage, it's just being used as voiceover. Alright, got that? Okay, cool. Back to what I was talking about before. Small Tom Hanks, somehow being able to figure out exactly how this game works, gets frozen by the aforementioned evil wizard because... God damn it, Josh, it's midday and you still haven't taken out the bloody trash! Montage time! Josh finally takes out the trash, plays baseball with his best mate, and pervs on his teacher.
No, she's got one of those undershirt things. So if you get real close to the board, you can see all the way down to her flowers. Whoa! Wow! What a little creep. There's no joke here, that's just really weird. But a sign of things to come. And I mean that more literally than you would think. Just after Billy confesses to being a gooner, oh yeah, his name is Billy by the way, this girl comes over and says hi to Josh, and he seemingly nearly passes out. Truly, he is just like me. We're then treated to this scene of Billy's mother verbally abusing her entire family. Skip to this timecode if you don't want to see that. This is me giving you a second to do that if you were going to.
Have you ever once thought about how I feel? Do you know what it's like to work 8 hours and come home to this every single day? None of you ever offer to help me!
If this upsets you, or like me, you're becoming actively rageful at the sight of it, then don't worry, because it won't come up again. Yeah, this movie has a lot of scenes like that. That's right, this woman goes on a whole guilt trip about how nobody's helping her around the house, all while Billy, her son, is serving her dinner. And this is implied throughout the movie to be a regular occurrence, because the whole reason that the scene exists is to explain why this child can go to New York every evening, as opposed to his parents caring at all where he is. Strangely enough, this is care that the movie does not take with the rest of its plot. It's just Billy. I think the writers just hate Billy. It would be at this point that I would like to start a counter for every time this movie does something that makes me question the morality of putting this in a children's film, just doesn't make any sense, or just generally confuses me. Let's make that counter 2 for now, for that time that Billy tried to peeping Tom his teacher, and this old hag. Now, who wants to go to the carnival? Tiny Tom and fam have gone on an evening out, and Josh fails to win High Striker, presumably because of his weak little boy bones. Ah, I'm seeing the symbolism. I'm picking up what the writers are putting down. The rest of this movie is going to be about Josh getting absolutely yoked. But before that can happen, Josh needs to fail at talking to women again. I don't think this kid knows he can say anything at all. It's not like it's going to matter anyway, because as we're about to find out, she has a boyfriend. Or at least some kind of suitor, it's not really made clear. But either way, she likes him because he drives. Which is a really weird reason to want to date someone. That's like me dating someone because they can do their own taxes.
But tragedy strikes at Josh's soul once more, when he realizes that he's too small to go on the big wheel, and then proceeds to just ignore the girl that he was talking to on the way out.
What a douche. Maybe she should date Daryl or Dave or Derek or whatever his name was. One of the D's. D's nuts.
And it's while throwing himself an all-out pity party that Zoltar appears.
Don't
And
touch me,
loads of
brother.
full round of bullets from his mouth. Kills the
Oh yeah, I forced my friends to watch this movie with me, so expect them to interject on occasion with such witticisms as the pink tile bathroom, though. Iconic. And why is she day drinking? Truly a classic.
So Josh inputs a coin, tries to commit assault on an ethnic man, and makes his wish. You'll never guess what he wishes for.
Could it be to learn to drive, perhaps? No? Oh, well, I guess he was more torn up about not being able to go on that ride than the girl.
He also doesn't wish to get yoked. I was wrong. Instead, he wishes to be large.
It's not even plugged in, guys! Holy sh**.
Your wish is granted.
Stupid.
Ren, I thought that was your genuine reaction for a second. I thought you were just sitting there being like,
No.
holy f***ing sh**, how did they even do that?
That night is a dark and stormy one, with Josh's sister cowering in her cot, while Josh himself sleeps unusually peacefully. I wonder what's up with that. Well, in the morning we find out that it's because he was actually going through puberty all at once.
We have Tom Hanks, people. He's Woody. He's Forrest Gump. He's a 13-year-old in his underwear. And yes, I am blurring this because this video is already on the verge of being age restricted, so I really can't afford to take any chances. Also, while looking for reviews of this movie online, I found this image of Josh standing in his iconic pink tile bathroom, and because I had to see it, now you do too. Reviews of this movie, by the way, are glowing. People bloody love this film. It does make me wonder how many of them have actually seen it recently. It's either that or every film journalist ever is either delusional or into some really weird stuff. But anyway, Tom Hanks ate that kid! We've got to have this traumatized woman threaten him with a knife. How else are we supposed to entertain the children?
So yeah, Josh gets kicked out of his own house because they couldn't find a child actor who looked enough like Tom Hanks to have this woman realize that that's her son. And realizing what's happened to him, Josh knows that there's only one person he can turn to.
What has happened to him, by the way, is that he's used actual magic. Unless Zoltar operates on like Ant-Man rules or something, and this is the one thing he can do, then in this universe, magic is real and nobody cares. Yes, Mr. Zoltar, I'd like to wish for the cure for cancer, please. That'll be what, a quarter? Brilliant. Not even Josh really seems to care. He who is forced to serenade a child while looking like this just to earn his trust.
For anyone who follows Tom Hanks' career, by the way, this is actually the scene where he performs the iconic Big Rap, which, fun fact, was just something that his son learnt at summer camp and taught him for this film.
See? I was able to sneak some informational stuff in between me losing my marbles.
Speaking of losing my marbles, Josh's mother reports him to the police for kidnapping.
Are you having fun yet? What about your kids? Are your kids having fun?
The movie gets away with all of this, by the way, just by playing some clown music over the top of whatever absolutely traumatizing event is happening on screen. Because it's funny.
I mean, look at this woman. She's in tears. She's worried about her son, and hey, why aren't you laughing?
To be fair to the movie, she does say the word Heine, which as we all know makes any scene better. So Billy steals a bunch of stuff for Josh, including some new clothes, so that he can evade the police, and then escorts him out of state.
I'm not going to count the stealing in the counter for this one, because even though it's not a great moral precedent for children, the situation does call for it, and at this point, there is genuinely no other way for the plot to progress. The writers really backed themselves into a corner with this one.
After Josh gets scared of women again, he arrives in the city that never sleeps, the Big Apple. New York City.
Where he is immediately asked if he would like to buy a hooker, or possibly even some drugs.
Which doesn't really make that much sense to me, considering how much he currently looks like your stereotypical pimp. So Josh and Billy find Josh a room before formulating a plan to find Zoltar and get Josh's life back. Then Billy leaves, and Josh's life is put on the line.
Maybe being large isn't all it's cracked up to be.
And now a quick break to talk about something that is only kind of related.
You know, while making this video, I had a very specific vision of how I wanted this to go. I wanted to have these bits in between chapters where I talk about the production history of the film, how they came up with these ideas, and maybe even uncover a scandal or two. I thought, movie like this? Something happened with it. But I want to take this time to express my sheer annoyance with exactly how normal this thing appears. I looked into it, and by that I mean I did a few Google searches, and nothing, nada, diddly squat. This movie was written, filmed, and edited within a year, and nothing went wrong. The actors seem to talk about production fondly, most of the production staff appear to have gone on to have glowing careers, so what the hell happened? Big is clearly an extremely anachronistic kids film, and yet everyone involved in its production appears to be otherwise mentally healthy and normal. Which is good, I'm glad they had a good time making it. God knows that Hollywood could use some of that energy now. But it doesn't work particularly well for an expose when what I am exposing just is the movie. It's not like this video was hard to make. The thing's on Disney+. They gift wrapped this for me. And it's your fault, Tom!
The next day, Josh and Billy begin looking for a Zoltar machine by just kind of looking around.
Considering that this thing is literally magic, one might assume that it's pretty rare. Billy doesn't seem to think so.
It's a big city, Josh. I bet there's a million Zoltar machines.
I don't know about you, but I personally believe there's probably a reason why people in this universe don't just all believe in magic, and it's probably because there aren't that many of these things around.
After realizing this, Josh and Billy head to the licensing bureau where they're told if they want to get a list of every Zoltar that's been licensed recently, then they'll have to wait 6 weeks.
Bureaucracy strikes again. I love America. Guess Tom Hanks is gonna have to do the unthinkable and get a job, which should be just the worst. He's got no job history, no CV, they even make a whole point about how he has to make up his social security number. Naturally, you'd expect some kind of effort to go into this process. Maybe we get a whole montage of him applying and being rejected from jobs before he finally gets a job as like a pot washer or something. Nope. Right, okay, so he reads a newspaper, sees the word computer, does this, which is gross even for a 13-year-old, walks into his interview with a child, which people assume is his son, although based on body language that clearly isn't the case, decides to ogle one of his potential co-workers and becomes a data analyst. This 13-year-old, after one job interview that he massively screws up, is depicted as being more successful than me or anyone I know that's my age. This enrages me for several reasons. Also, who are these people? Assumedly there are other applicants, correct? In other words, people who are more qualified for the job than friggin' Tom Hanks. What happened to them? Was it just a first come, first serve scenario? That's a terrible way to hire staff. No wonder your work environment is so hostile, you're literally just hiring the first guy that walks in. Oh yeah, the work environment is really hostile. First day on the job, Josh meets this guy who says this.
See that girl over there in the red? Say hi to her and she's yours. She'll wrap her legs around you so tight you'll be begging for mercy.
Well, I'll stay away from her then.
What a perv! Anyway, meet Susan, a workaholic grumposaurus who hates the demons of her own creation, which makes complete sense because they all look like this. Susan has a problem with the Huggy Bear toy line, a line that her and Paul here worked on together. That being that it's failed spectacularly.
Naturally, she's a little ticked off about this, and goes to Paul to discuss how they're going to sort this out. And he responds by... Oh. Yeah, I don't like this guy. To be fair, they are together. I need to mention that because it's important to the plot. However, when your partner has a genuine problem that they would like to discuss with you, it automatically renders this action, perchance, a tad inappropriate. Luckily, the film isn't endorsing this. Probably still shouldn't have put it in a children's movie though, but at least they're not endorsing it. Right? Because Paul is going to be our main antagonist this evening. Because the first thing he does while on screen, apart from being a slimy little weirdo, is try to place blame for the failed toy line that him and Susan worked on solely on Susan. I would love to know how these two got together, because there's no way she looked at this guy, someone who is not even depicted once as smart enough to even pretend to be nice, and was like, yeah, that guy.
It's almost as if they spend the entire movie showing her to have a thing for adults that act like children. Speaking of children, Josh has decided it to be a good idea to use his work phone to contact his mother.
This is dumb for a litany of reasons. Shall we recount them? Kidnapping in the US is considered a federal crime when kidnappers cross state borders. Kind of like Josh has done. And as such, federal agencies will be investigating his case, so getting a job under his real name probably wasn't the best move. But I'll forgive that on account of Josh being a child. What I will not forgive is him then using that job's resources to call his mother. Has this kid never seen a movie before? That phone is definitely tapped in case the kidnapper calls for ransom. Not that this film is smart enough to think that there would ever be anyone investigating the sudden and mysterious disappearance of a 13-year-old boy. And by the way, yes, I did have to look up some things for this video that definitely got me put on some kind of watch list. He did all of this just to ask her how she was as well. What a psycho!
Anyway, boobies, bubbles, bazongas. Oh right, and the boss guy's here now. Tom Hanks tries to run him over with his body before ogling at the same co-worker for a second time? Or maybe he's just not doing a very good job of trying to signal to her a slight wardrobe malfunction, it's unclear. But considering this movie's track record so far, it's not looking favorable.
Naturally, Tom Hanks is praised by the guy he just chinned for having, hustle, which is a strange word to describe a complete lack of environmental awareness. Or maybe he just doesn't like his boss, which, you know, makes sense because I don't like mine either. You suck. And so Josh sits in his room eating brand safe Oreos and watching a movie that I think is rated R. How scandalous. A shot goes off behind him and oh, look at that, he's lost a little bit of his innocence. How fun. Alright, okay, I know I've been pretty harsh on this movie so far, but finally, 40 minutes in, I'm going to start singing its praises a little bit. Biggest film about a couple things, traumatized mother, couple of creepy kids, and sending weird messages about the sexual agency of children, but what it wants to be, what so many people remember it for, and probably what's stuck in your brain from watching it many moons ago, is this view on the adult world from a child's perspective. To a child, your life might seem a little different, because everything's new and bright and colorful. You're not worried about taxes or bills or that one time that you might have gotten a little bit too drunk and acted creepy towards that girl you really like. Casey, I know what you did. As perfectly exemplified when Josh gets paid, and I quote, $187, and loses his mind. This man has never had so much money in his life, and the ensuing hijinks are actually quite wholesome. Ignore the fact that he spends all of it, and so probably can't pay his rent for the month, because it won't be coming up. But for once, I will say that it's really nice to have this perspective on money. In a world where so many are concerned with losing theirs, this kid just cares about all the cool stuff it can buy him. Granted, it could probably buy you more stuff in 1988 than it could today, but that's neither here nor there. Nor is it the movie's fault. This is just wholesome. Maybe this movie's prospects are looking up. You know, it's funny that you're waiting for me to say that's not the case, because that is in fact the case. The next 20 minutes of the movie are just really good. This is the part of the movie where it really doubles down on showing you the child's perspective on adulthood. The writing actually just stops being confusing for a second and starts being heartfelt and charming and funny. It's good stuff. Like this scene where Josh calls his family, posing as a surveyor, to try and find out what he should take because he's got a stomachache. It's a sweet scene that uses the film's premise really well. You can tell that Tom Hanks here is playing a scared kid without showing him running away from a knife-wielding woman or nearly getting shot or being heavily traumatized in any way. But even this masterclass in how to use this film's premise in an appropriate and emotional way is balanced out by the next scene where Josh is seen just having fun, now being a child that has found himself able to spend as much time as he wants in the toy shop. Granted, there are still a few things that I would question, such as why this kid's parents are just perfectly fine with him playing with this grown-ass man, but considering the massive tonal shift from this, I will accept the explanation for the time being that it's just a heightened reality where maybe stranger danger isn't that much of an issue. But don't worry, for those of you who are enjoying watching me crash out, the worst is very much yet to come. And I will go back to scrutinizing everything this movie is doing once the tone slingshots itself far further into the melodrama written by freaky people into weird stuff territory than any of us are comfortable with. I'm getting age restricted.
Josh has a seizure, during which his boss shows up, After their earlier introduction, Josh is understandably a bit wary of him, but they start to get along thanks to their shared love of toys.
Yet again, this film using its premise in a really clever way. You see, Macmillan here is a man clearly bored of financial reports and board meetings and all that stuff that comes with company life. He started a toy company so that he could build toys and make children happy. Not so that he could boss people around and get assaulted by his employees. And Josh is, unknowingly to Macmillan, an actual child, which basically makes him an expert on toys, because play is the work of children, so naturally they get along. That's not my quote, by the way. Play is the work of children is often credited to psychologist Jean Piaget, and it serves as a loose jumping on point for this movie's entire intended thesis. Because Big tries to do something very simple, but in my opinion very clever, and that's turn this quote on its head a little bit and say that play should be the work of adults too. After all, if you hate your job and put yourself in a self-sustained state of misery your entire life, then what's the point in living in the first place? Especially when there is always something you can do to make yourself happy or have some fun and feel a little bit better about life. This idea is presented in its purest form when Josh and Macmillan stumble upon the big piano. See what I did there? Yes, I have to talk about this scene, because when I mentioned that I was making a video about Big, all of my friends and family were all like, that's the one with the piano in it, right? And I must admit, there is a profoundly solid reason for that. You see, first, Macmillan is intrigued by the piano and Josh's obvious autism, but his adult instincts kick in, and adults don't play on big pianos. He likes Josh because he knows about toys, so he tries to continue picking his brain about the subject for his company. But he slowly gets whittled down by seeing that Josh is having so much fun, and so he begins to join in. And what ensues is just beautiful. The entire audience gets to watch as this bossy, grumpy, maybe even slightly sour old man transforms into a child again. Maybe not in the literal way that you would expect from this movie's premise, but in a more sophisticated and realistic way. He's allowed to rediscover his wonder at this quite simple piece of engineering. A toy. He's allowed to find out that play isn't just the work of children, and if he wants to be happy, then he needs to make it his work also. That's what this movie should have centered itself around entirely. That's what people remember this for. A child who nobody knows is a child, showing an old man that it's okay to be childish sometimes.
Where's his bag? He threw his bag away. No.
Josh gets a job as vice president of Macmillan Toy Company, which leads to this wonderful piece of dialogue from Paul in response to Josh getting Bob's old office.
Bob's office bigger than my office.
Truly, his maturity is on par with Gandhi.
Look at this place. It's bigger than the principal's office.
How would you know?
Remember that explosion in science?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when I killed that boy by exploding his teeth off?
Do you remember when I blew up the chem lab?
The movie does also make a pretty funny joke about how most high-ranking members of most big companies don't actually have to do that much in order to keep their company running and just get paid.
We also have this scene where Paul is doing villain things and trying to find out who Josh is, and what company he worked at before Macmillan.
I know a setup when I see it. Paul's gonna find out that everyone at Stay Over thinks that Josh kidnapped a kid. Or not. Or this is another example of the movie having a scene in it for literally no reason. Oh, hey! Nice to see you're back.
Also, Paul's friends might be insider trading? What's that about? Why did we need to include this in the movie? We are then shown a lovely little scene where Paul pretty much describes everything that happens when he says that Josh came into the meeting and said bugs. Everyone is very impressed with this, except Paul, who was running the meeting.
See the look on Macmillan's face?
Oh. She's a little bit aroused. What a weird thing to put into your movie. But you know what, I'm sure it's fine. This movie's had a whole bunch of other setups that haven't gone anywhere thus far. Maybe this will just be like one of those.
Alrighty, time to buy a massive apartment. It's got a jacuzzi in it, by the way. A montage ensues where Josh is shown to be spending all of his vice president cash while Tom Hanks voices over a letter he's writing to his mother.
I sure do hope that no federal agencies try and track the origin of that letter. Oh no, wait, I forgot. Nobody's looking into his case. Silly me.
But that's fine, because Josh has a work thing to get to. And naturally, he starts his preparation by recruiting Billy to terrorize this poor tailor.
What kind
No, that's not a mannequin. That's a dude.
That's not a tuxedo. That's a morning coat. Well, what do you call it?
Oh. Oh my god.
Hey, smell my neck.
Oh my god, bro. Nobody says that. That is certainly not a way to start a conversation, and I seriously have no idea how you are still working at this company.
Susan is bored. She goes to talk to Macmillan about work, because I guess talking about the exact same thing with Paul and Fella was too boring.
But she immediately gets shut down because this is a party. You gotta let loose once in a while, you know? You've got to cheat on your boyfriend.
And who better to cheat on your boyfriend with than Tom Hanks?
Okay, I'm not opposed to this just being a thing that happened. She doesn't know that he's a minor, and so is technically in her right mind here. Apart from the cheating bit, that's still bad. Now, my criticism here is levied directly at the writers, who put these characters in this situation to begin with. If the next natural thing to occur in your story is that one of your adult characters tries to sleep with one of your child characters for any reason, you need to redraft your story.
So Josh and Susan take a limo back to Josh's apartment. Josh is an annoying piece of garbage the entire ride over. He also says this.
Okay. But I get to be on top.
Oh.
Yeah, this is where the fun bit comes in.
She's still kind of into it though. Why?
Josh then forces her onto a trampoline, refuses to give this very drunk woman a glass of water, and instead tries to lie like this and watch her jump.
I see what they're going for with the whole getting her to appreciate her in a child thing, but it's nowhere near as effective here as it was in the piano scene. Mostly because he needs to employ more actively creepy behavior in order to get her to join in with him. Alright, okay, imagine if during the piano scene, Macmillan was like, okay, person I've met exactly one time before, I'm not going to play on the big piano with you. And in response, Tom Hanks suplexed him into the piano, and then just kind of lay down and was like, I'm gonna watch you dance. And then, you know, he gives it a go, and before you know it, he's having the time of his life. Somehow I don't think the scene's message would have been anywhere near as poignant. Because whereas the piano scene was done through Josh just simply allowing Macmillan to join him in childlike wonder, this is done through active coercion.
She's just making friends. I don't see what's wrong here.
Yeah.
Susan, in response to being forced to jump on a trampoline with this man, still tries to sleep with him.
I don't even know why I'm making this video. I don't even need to write any analysis here. The reasons why this is bad are self-explanatory. Don't write an adult trying to seduce a child into your children's movie.
Luckily, he doesn't sleep with her.
Yet.
And they both knock themselves out. The next day in the car, Paul questions where she went with Josh the previous evening. Rightly so, right?
Because even though nothing did end up happening, this line of questioning is still perfectly reasonable, because she did still try to cheat on Paul. Kind of making this the first understandable action that Paul takes throughout the entire movie. The best bit is that she tells him that it was just a ride home, which it wasn't, and he takes that at face value. What the hell happened to Paul?
Obviously not getting any answers from Susan, he then tries to play a game of squash with Josh, who isn't very good because, of course he isn't. Who plays squash?
And now we have regular Paul back because he quite suddenly tries to assault Josh. Why? Because he wouldn't give him the ball. This movie is insane, bro. You're a grown-ass man. He won't give you the ball simply because he wants you to admit you've cheated, you juvenile prick. Okay, granted, he is the film's villain, so I'm not gonna count this relapse into being a dipstick in the counter, because at least it makes sense. Even if it is a little extreme.
But that's fine because the next scene is of Susan treating Josh's wounds and being given very clear motherly vibes in regards to Josh. Giving him plasters and putting cotton on his head. She's mothering him. There's no two ways about this.
Seriously, I could write a whole paragraph about what the writers might have been trying to communicate about women in this scene. Especially when it's put into the context of the rest of the movie. This scene could be saying stuff about what women want from men, about what women's roles should be in relationships, but I'm not gonna do that, primarily because this entire time I've been tricking you. This movie that we've been watching was directed by a woman. So what the hell happened with this scene? Was she off that day? Because it's not a good look. Because she literally asks, how do you do it? You know, as in like, how do you make me so attracted to you? A question she asks directly after dressing his cuts and scrapes and explaining to him how bullies work. Why would you make this character attracted to this character?
So Josh gets bored one late night at the office and goes to talk to Macmillan, who without knowing, kind of suggests that he should do the devil's tango with Susan. And Josh is like, yeah, I should. What the hell is this movie? Susan breaks up with her boyfriend. He's a dick about it. I can't be bothered to write a joke here. Oh, actually, she does say this.
What is so special about Baskin? He's a grown-up.
Which doesn't make any sense, because he definitely doesn't act like one. I understand that the writers were going for some dramatic irony here, but it just doesn't work.
Okay, I promise I will get my energy up in a second, mostly because the worst part of this movie is about to come up, and I do believe I'm contractually obligated to have a massive cortisol spike as we watch it. Who wrote this contract? I did. So if I somehow don't have a massive crash out, I will probably be suing myself.
Josh shows up to Susan's door for a date. This is going to end swimmingly. In short, they have a great time, they go on a roller coaster, they play whack-a-mole, and... oh yeah, they snog.
They're just hugging. Friends hug all the time.
Friends think about each other like all the time.
I remember when we went to watch the film.
They're just friends, aren't they?
Tom Hanks, no. I mean, you can't blame him, but at the same time, this is.
No, you can blame him. You can definitely blame him. Oh no.
No. No.
Oh
No. No.
Please don't have sex with a 13-year-old. Please don't have sex with a 13-year-old. Please don't have sex with a 13-year-old.
Do something.
Why is it going on so long?
What do you mean, do something? I can't do anything.
Oh!
No.
Go away! I like to stay on.
What the hell?
No.
No!
He goes into work and he's like, I had.
Yeah, my man.
Sorry, my fist slipped. Whose idea was this? Who thought, yeah, kids movie where Tom Hanks plays a child who gets transformed into an adult. We can have wholesome hijinks. Oh, and don't forget the appeal. Are you having a giggle? How? How do I even approach this? I can't do any analysis without getting age restricted. I can't even fathom why this is in the movie. It's wrong. It's just wrong. Now, there are those who would say, you know, it was the 80s. It was a different time. Really? It was this different? If this is the case, and you grew up in the 80s, then I am extremely sorry that your childhood unfolded like this. If it didn't, and you never had relations with a 30-year-old, and I am making a false assumption based on this very real explanation I have heard from multiple older people, then stop using "it was a different time" as a catch-all phrase to defend this movie. Stop defending this movie! Because if you forget the nostalgia, if you forget that this movie might personally mean something to you, then it just becomes a movie that uses fantasy elements to get away with depicting one of the most heinous crimes of all time. I believe in America they'd call it statutory something or other. I can't even begin to conceive of the second word because every time I do, a big demonetization symbol pops up in my brain. This is on Disney Plus, a streaming service known for its complete and utter intolerance of this kind of content. How?
So Josh and Susan go to a dinner party, and this kid has a dumbass dad.
I need some help.
Not now, Adam.
So Josh just helps him out instead. And it's supposed to be very sweet, apart from the fact that Susan looks like she's maybe thinking about having kids with Josh. Maybe a little bit.
Oh look, they're referencing the babysitter thing from The Grande, which I guess is kind of this movie's source material, you know. That would be fun if that movie wasn't also a hot mess. Also, he talks about algebra in this scene in a really weird way, and it doesn't make any sense. I love it in films and TV shows when there's some kind of genius character or somebody just says something that's kind of smart, and instead of doing a tiny bit of research, the writers decide to make it a sentence that doesn't mean anything. Now, I don't know baseball, so I can't tell you if this sentence works in that sense, but I do know high school level algebra, and this has got nothing to do with it. You know what he actually just described to this kid? The mere concept of timesing a number by 4. That's what he said. He said that you should take 10 and make it 40 by timesing it by 4. And I know there are definitely bigger fish to fry here, but this annoyed me specifically, and this is my YouTube channel, so god damn it, I'm going to talk about it!
Look at him. He's making my child significantly dumber.
Alright, the final stretch. I'll try and make this snappy so that I can get to my final juicy crash out.
Josh and Susan are assigned to put together a whole new toy line by Macmillan, with Josh handling the ideas and Susan handling marketing. Billy gets that list of carnivals from the licensing bureau. Josh decides he wants to base his new toy line on the idea of an interactable comic book, and while explaining the idea to Susan, it starts to sound suspiciously like a Telltale game.
And they sleep together again. You know, it's one thing that it happens once, it's another thing to make it keep happening. I'm not even gonna sit here and say that like 1 time's enough or something like that, because 1 time was actually too many, which makes this a whole new level of unacceptable.
So Josh and Susan plan out their work and start being cute, and it makes me really uncomfortable. And Macmillan shows up and steals one of Susan's Oreos. What the hell, dude? So Billy keeps trying to contact Josh. Josh is busy and so keeps brushing Billy off, until this all results in a big fight, where Billy makes an argument that kind of doesn't make any sense, and Tom Hanks has decided that he wants to continue his relationship with Elizabeth Perkins.
How did we get here? Oh yeah, Billy tries to say that Josh should go back to being a kid because there are people back home that care about him. When the same thing can be said here, too. What, does Billy think that Josh has made no friends in the span of however long this movie's been going on? Billy knows that Josh has been invited to at least one party, and has been hanging out with other people that aren't him. What are those people gonna think when Josh suddenly disappears? His girlfriend's gonna be devastated. Macmillan's gonna lose one of his best and closest employees, one of the only people he's met in years that he thought truly understood his love of toys. And screw it, maybe even Paul will be sad. I know it's a stretch, but it's not like Josh is getting fired here. To them, he's effectively dying. They'll never get to see or even speak to him again. Now, it might sound like I'm advocating for Josh to just stay where he is. Trust me, I'm not. I just think that Billy's argument is fundamentally flawed. Mostly because the writing put these characters in this situation to begin with, which I hate. Oh look, a traumatized woman. It's been a while since we've seen her.
I could talk about this. I'm not going to, because this movie is just in a state of eating itself, where it's just recycling the same issues it had before. She does place all the emotional burden on this child across the way this time, though.
10 out of 10 emotional management. Go and see a therapist.
Meanwhile, Josh is playing Kevin of the Evil Wizard again.
Like the beginning of the movie. I love callbacks.
He puts it in, and it's immediately at where it was before. So I guess it's just a really short game. He then goes back to his hometown and just kind of watches the kids, and nobody questions it, and there's still a warrant out for the arrest of someone that matches his description.
The whole point of this scene is to get Josh to realize that maybe he's growing up too fast, and he needs to slow down and give himself time to be a kid again. It's a real turning point for the movie. It's also where my friends thought the film was going to end.
He hasn't divorced his girlfriend. He hasn't said his goodbyes or reverted to a child.
No, he's watching kids, Leo.
What's
Does
the
he
moral
stay
of the
as a-
story?
Does he stay as a fucking child forever? As an adult forever? Why is
I
he
thought he
watching his
was
class
gonna,
graduate?
like, move on, and then-
The rest of the movie is just him watching
Please believe him
children.
as an adult.
This
Well,
does
well,
this does
definitely.
seem like the end of the movie.
This film is just encouraging men to be childish.
Women to date people
Yeah.
who act like children.
Women to date
Yeah.
childish dudes.
You'll be happy and free if you date a 13-year-old.
Put
Is
that.
that the message?
Put that. Get that on my short.
So Josh finally decides to tell Susan that he's really a 13-year-old boy, and she obviously doesn't believe him, and gets kind of angry.
As I probably would be too if I realized that my partner was insane.
But after finding the Zoltar card, she realizes the truth. She tests it in a couple different ways, and before she can come to any conclusions, Josh leaves in the middle of their pitch.
without thinking about how that would look on Susan at all. Remember the beginning of the movie when Paul tried to place blame for their shared product line failing on Susan? Yeah, well, I would like to point out that Josh is inadvertently doing basically the exact same thing here.
You see, Josh was given the Zoltar location by Billy and goes to get the good ending. But this evil little twerp tries to stop him. She even knows that he's a child now, has an idea of where he's going, and knows he's probably not gonna come back.
Who are you? I'm his girlfriend.
But she's too late. Josh is gonna be a child again, and every reasonable person in the audience lets out a sigh of relief.
No,
No, don't.
Did she just say 10 years? Who knows?
Wait, no, go back, Aaron, go back, please.
Hang on, I missed that.
Did she
I
just
missed
say
that.
10 years? Who knows?
No, wait, listen to the entire line.
10 years? Who knows?
Listen, wait, don't play it yet, Aaron. Everyone shut up, listen to the rest of the line, because I remember this line.
Aaron's taking his headset off.
We just got the left. Oh. This film is so bad.
Wait, okay. Aaron, shut up, listen to the rest of the line.
Maybe you should hold on to my number.
Oh. No.
10 years? Who knows? Maybe hold on to my number. You'll be like 50.
Yeah.
23.
Yeah. She's
Is
not
that
40!
I don't know where into the 30s she is.
Oh, God.
She could be 38. Who knows?
Aaron has fully lost it, man. Aaron, you good?
Prisoner's waiting for you. Prisoner's waiting for you.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
Leo's gone.
Leo.
Leo left.
Okay, she gives him a ride home, and this is how I know the writers knew what they were doing with this movie, because they have this whole bit in the final scene where they play off of the tension of Susan kissing who she now knows to be a 13-year-old boy. At this point, I actually think I've ran out of exclamatory sentences to say after just repeating stuff like this for so long.
How is she going to explain herself? Yeah, I'm just dropping your 13-year-old son off that I had with.
No,
This
wait,
is the
I'm
same
dropping
guy
a
who this mom like threatened to stab.
I'm dropping a grown-ass man off. He's gonna turn into your son. Give him a bit.
That's what I was thinking.
Hey, Leo.
Oh, shut up, woman! Shut up! Leo, are you still defending her now?
What did she say?
I stopped defending her
Shall I
about
miss
20
you?
minutes ago.
Oh.
No. No. No.
Please don't kiss, please don't
No.
kiss, please don't kiss, please don't kiss. I
No.
beg you, don't kiss. Don't f***ing kiss, please. I swear to God. Oh my God, please stop. I will cry.
No.
Just look at them, man.
No. No.
They so want to kiss each other.
No.
You can't do this.
No.
You actually, please
They
don't. You
so
can't
want
do
to kiss
this.
each other.
Well, now she should go to prison. Now she knows.
She knew before when she said maybe.
No,
in
wait,
10 years.
Aaron, go back. Actually, go
No.
back. Actually, watch what
No.
happens. Actually, watch what happens. No, I promise you, it's. There we go. Could have been much worse.
That's a relief.
Oh my God. The movie's over. Am I alive? Seriously though, what are the consequences of this movie? Josh's parents are never gonna let him out of the house again. Probably because Josh's mum has some form of PTSD. Josh himself was subject to activities that no child should ever be subject to, and Susan, being the last person to see Josh alive, and probably not being able to explain his whereabouts, has almost definitely gone to prison for his murder. On top of that, she slept with a 13-year-old boy unknowingly. She's going to need decades of therapy for that, so maybe she also gets sectioned. I cannot stress how much I hate this movie.
And for those of you that are just listening, the final bad writing count is 39. Very proud of us lads and ladettes that we could get the number up this high. Bit disappointed we didn't get to 40, but I think it's worth it to not have this child be traumatized any more than he already has been.
This movie sucks. I mean, it primarily sucks because there is something here. I mean, that piano scene, the one thing that people remember about this movie decades after its release, is a perfect example of this. I mean, a child making a misguided wish to be an adult. There's so much that you can do with that, and most of it isn't even freaky stuff. As a writer, and as a creative in general, you have a responsibility to use your creativity appropriately and responsibly. That doesn't mean there isn't a place for adult themes in films, or even adult films in general. But you can't put this kind of thing in a movie that you are intending to show to children. Google lists this film as a family comedy, meaning that it is definitely designed for children, and otherwise impressionable people. Seriously, what kind of message do you think this sends to them? I don't care that this is the kind of writing that you could get away with in the 80s, because especially when it comes to children's media, you shouldn't be trying to get away with any writing. This isn't on the level of Disney sneaking an adult joke into their kids' film that will just go completely over their heads. This is blatantly harmful material. And I have seen next to nobody on the internet talk about this. One of the reasons I even included my friends in this video was because I needed to confirm my suspicions that this movie was as messed up as I thought it was. Because of a complete lack of coverage, I genuinely thought I was going crazy for a little bit there. When I make a video, it's because I want to share something with my audience. That's what all of this is. It's a means of expression. And I am profoundly disappointed that I am effectively forced to express something this negative. Both because this film was made in the first place, and because seemingly nobody else cares. I genuinely believe that it's the case that nearly everyone who's seen this movie is just complacent enough to follow the crowd. Because otherwise people would criticize this movie. And I would genuinely dread having to sit down and steep myself in the amount of anger that I have felt throughout writing this script and filming, and am going to continue feeling during editing as well. So please, to anyone watching this, even if you are doing this already, please keep a critical eye on your media. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about their opinions. You need to come up with your own opinions on what you watch, especially when the media that you are consuming turns out to be predatory. And if you're not ready to do that for whatever reason, then I at least hope that you're alright with criticizing this one film, because maybe, just maybe, I've paved the way for you to do that. Don't harass anyone who worked on this movie. I don't know how well this video is going to do, so the backlash could honestly go either way. Or there could be no backlash at all, that would be nice. If it does go towards me, then I'm fine with that, because if I am somehow crazy, then I fully welcome you all to tell me. But if it goes towards the film, then even better. Just make sure to keep your criticisms constructive and productive. Harassment is not okay under any circumstances. I would like to thank my friends, Aaron, Leo, and Ren, for joining me in my crusade against really obvious predatory messaging. And I would like to thank you all for watching. If you want to spread this video around a bit, and God knows I want you to, then please feel free to share it with a friend. If you want, you can also leave a comment, and a like is always appreciated. You could even subscribe if you like my video essay style. Or if you want to see me do a more horror media documentary focused episode, which is what I'm working on now and will be releasing. And as always, have a nice day.